Awesome. Welcome to all out there who watched the final game against the Max and St. Joe's Long Island. That gave us problems historically. They beat us last year, and they beat us this year. Final score, we lose by 12, 72-60. I'm not sure if that's the actual score, but it felt about that.
Close. 73-62, close.
73-62 was a tough one. We got some of the fellas. Who do we have online? We got Ariel Adler. He's in the building. We got Yaakov Sachs, right?
What's going on?
Brief himself, Shua Cohen, a.k.a. the analytical master. And we got myself, as usual, Jack Terrell. I don't know who wants to start us off with some final thoughts on tonight's loss.
Yeah, it was a tough night. Once again, it's like kind of flashbacks from last year. St. Joe's Long Island. After we lost to Farmingdale on a Saturday night, now we lose to St. Joe's Long Island on a Saturday night again. I had a feeling it'd be a tough game. St. Joe's Long Island, they're a good team. With the same team as last year, pretty much. Don't let the record fool you. They're a good team, but we got it. That the effort, it wasn't there. At the end, I mean, it was just a tough game. The shots weren't falling. And then once the shots weren't falling and it seemed like they got frustrated and weren't really running the offense, took a few plays off on defense. And, that's how you're going to lose a game.
I have a few thoughts that I think I wish we have Shua on to track the analytics of Zebi Saturday night home games. Because I think the Trollant factor is in effect. I mean, he had a poor Farmingdale shooting game in a similar situation. Again, Ryan would eat vegan the day of a shop, not vegan, but he'd only have a bologna sandwich when everyone else was having the Trollant and the brisket and the meatloaf and the schnitzel and the chabad and the shot with the herring. You got to be careful on Saturday. Couple things about the game. Malloy gave us problems all last season. I thought Zuck did a good job in the one-on-one, but again, there's only so much a guy of that size who's 3 inches shorter and 100 pounds lighter could do against a guy like that. I think today would have been a great game to play Igby, and so that we don't have to throw. Yeah, Zuck was fronting him, and he didn't score a lot, but you had so many guys helping off that they would just swing and hit an open three. And I think if you play Igby, you don't have to fall into that. And then my second note was, we've spent the last couple of weeks on various podcasts discussing how important this offense is and the intricacies and sticking to it and getting good shots and sticking to it and trusting the system. Zachheim looked great his first game back, or one of his first couple games back. But, when the offense wasn't getting shots, I saw him going away from it and starting to go a little ISO, little one-on-one. And that's all good. But once he does that, it trickles down, especially as the point guard, as the quarterback, as the leader. I thought Elliott should have pulled him in that moment just to let him know, hey, this is what we do. This is something Elliott didn't do last year, and kind of, and last year is well recorded as having a team that didn't run the offense very well. I think, maybe he could take a look at the tape and go, maybe that's something I need to do. Just to put the quarter, and you can put Zachheim right back in. He did the same with Zucker. Zucker shot an ill-advised 3, and he pulled him out, and he put him right back in. You can do that with your players, because once it went away from the offense, we went completely. My last thing is we got to get easier shots for Zebi, because either we need to have another motion boot camp and just have Zebi get on a call with Harold or Ellie or Elliott or whomever, Joe Schwartz, and just hammer down on what he's doing wrong within the system, that he's not getting open shots. But the fact is, Zebi didn't get any good looks from 3. All of them were tough. And neither did – and Oren had 2 good looks. Well, Oren needs to get more than 2 good looks. I love the return of Zachheim, and I think he's a great player. But
are you muted there?
Coming from the beginning and established himself before Oren established himself as a key member. I think he has to play a little bit more quarterback and a little less running back. He's an elite downhill guy. I've said this from day one. He's OPEC Reef with the jump shot. But it turns out he's a little bit better than that. He's a better ball handler, better shooter, better passer. and just as good going downhill. But I'd like to see him try to really play point guard and quarterback and take it upon himself personally to get open shots or work with these guys to get open shots for Zevi and for Ord.
Yeah, I think it's a big picture thing here. We got a little spoiled a little early on with the Skyline play. We knew, 4 freshmen out there. There's definitely going to be days like this. It seems for us they come a lot on Saturday nights. I don't know if we could avoid scheduling Saturday night games entirely, but I can imagine no matter what you eat on Shabbos, the routine is just weird. Best case scenario, they're getting there at 6:30. Trying to get their heads in the games. It's definitely a weird vibe, and it definitely has not worked now basically 2-3 years running, these Saturday night games. Maybe we could have some exhibitions on Saturday night, but Skyline conference games is not a great idea. It has not done us well. But there was still some bright spots. Obviously, we're still discovering what Zach Heim can do. Offensively, he looked great. Defensively, he flies around. Playing in the system is something that we still have to see better. And, we want, obviously, we have now a stretch of, 3-4 games over a 6-week period of time. I don't know. There obviously is a break in YU. I don't know how much they practice during the break, how that factors in. Maybe Jack could tell us with that, but definitely getting Zach Heim and Zevi on the same page in the offense is the key to success in the second half.
Yes. Zach Heim missed the boot camp, the motion boot camp. He's excellent. He's so good. The guys already trust him. You notice guys are immediately deferring him to bring up the ball because they trust him, as they should. He's excellent. Downhill, elite downhill, and I've been saying that, hammering that home since I played with him in summer pickup games, private pickup games with him, Jack Stepner, his brother, a lot of former Max and Zev, some future Max. He's great downhill. Could really shoot the rock. He could benefit so much from doing more stuff off the ball, and I think maybe Harold will watch this, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. I'm watching Pelicans, and I'm missing that. And Zach Heim looked beautiful, and I thought he did for a lot of the game. But I thought when the offense stagnated, it wasn't because it was being stopped. It was more as we were missing shots. Sure, we had a few bad possessions. The other thing I want to see more of is this offense is so reliant also on post-ups, and to only have one player who could post up and score. Because a lot of times we run it through the big man in the post, overseeing, the players on the perimeter where they're doing ball screens, holding for 2, all that. I like to see. I would work with him. Dotan, give me a call. Let's do a big man camp, me and you. He had a move where we dribbled twice with his shoulder and had to spin, but didn't fully commit.
He didn't finish. Yeah.
He committed to the full spin. He would have scored. Instead, he traveled. Look. This team, Long Island and Farmingdale, are 2 teams that we don't match up well with. We didn't match up well with them last season. They're well coached. Malloy is a handful. I'm looking for. Look, we had him tied at the half. Would like to see. There's again. It's in summer pickup games, private pickup games with him, Jack Stepner, his brother. We a lot of former Max and Zach, some future Max.
What do you think
great downhill.
His minutes tonight. I know he missed it. He didn't have a great first half, but he was basically
really shoot the rock.
Second half. And
he could benefit
for at least nine of those minutes.
Well, I think there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen and a lot of guys at his position, right? Zach Heim, I think, cuts into his minutes because it's an offensive weapon off the bench. So either Elliott has to figure out, okay, I need to play these guys together, which I personally think they do, or Elliott feels like these, when it's just is what it is. It's going to cut into his minutes. When Lasco was out, Adi played a lot more. When Lasco came back, Adi played a lot less, or Armstrong. You figure out the rotations. The problem is with Zach Heim, Zevi, Orion, Roy, and Matan, which is their best offensive lineup objectively in terms of scoring. It's very small, right?
Yeah.
It's a very small lineup. So I don't know. I think he went with lineups that he was feeling it. I'd like to see more of Warren. You can't have a shooter play and not let him shoot. I think he's valuable.
There was a point with about 8 minutes left. I think they had stretched the lead to 6, and that it was sort of back and forth. It felt like we were going to turn it on, and then they stretched the lead to 6 with about 8 minutes left, and he still really hadn't impacted the game at all in the second half. I thought that's sort of where, obviously you're giving up in the defensive end, but the defensive hustle had sort of left us anyway. I think you bring him in at that point and you hope for a spark. You hit a big 3 there. I think it could have flipped the game. Instead, we were sort of just dead the rest of the second half.
So I have a couple feelings on that. It's a very good point. And we fall into these pitfalls sometimes. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we do. Like against Purchase, we didn't. Where we kept the fight up and pulled it out. Against NYU, we gave up. I'd like to see more Natkin. Give me a killer. Give me a guy who'll get in there, make a couple of 50-50 balls, couple of dives, couple of steals, might foul a guy hard, take a charge, get nasty. Give me someone who will give him a spark and trying to change the scenery. You can't really scout for his intangibles. Again, who does that? I'd rather see what Michael Natkin could bring, and then maybe some of the other rotational stalwarts that we've seen for 3 or 4 years, where we already know what they're going to bring. There's a scout on them. Everyone knows what they do. I'd like to switch up.
You don't have to put it for 2 minutes. Yeah, you don't have to put in for a long time. Just get that spark off the bench. It'll be infectious to everyone else. It doesn't have to be long. You don't have to expect offense from him. Just it's a good point. Yeah, maybe that's what they needed when things were starting to get away. But yeah, it was a tough night. And we're going to say this the whole year. They're a rookie, dominated team. They're going to have their struggles. To expect them to be consistent every night is not really so realistic to expect. It's a tough game. St. Joy's Long Island is a really solid team. They're going to even get better once they get Tabata back. It's really tough that the 2 home games we lost are Farmingdale and St. John's Long Island, who are probably within our division, within the conference, are going to be competing for the seeds in the playoffs. So this unfortunately has a big impact on potential playoff seedings, whether we get a home game or not. This could be big. We're going to have to beat them, in their place. Same with Farmingdale. And we're going to hope they lose a few games over the course of the season. And yeah, it was tough. It was a tough game. And hopefully, we have a game on Wednesday night against Immaculata, who's a team not a great team, a team that solid, probably average D3 team. But we don't have another Skyline game. I just checked the schedule till January 25th. So we have a long time to work on things. We have the break, obviously, and hopefully they could figure things out, over the break and, work on the things they need to work on.
Is it the Mighty Max?
The Mighty Max versus the Max. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is the best crossover episode. Right.
Yeah, I wonder if they schedule just because of that, because it's so cool.
It's just for the promo stuff.
Right. Exactly.
They're going to have a lot of time. I personally, this team is small, and Malloy, even though he killed us last year, but this year we kept him under control in the first half, and in the second half he got his, and the other guy stepped up. So much attention is paid to them that I just think in a game, I have been saying this for a long time. I think Igby needs to see some rotational run. I mean, obviously this year we're not thinking about national championship, we're thinking about Skyline, but if we're thinking about Skyline and longer run, I want to see some more Igby in the game. I just think he could provide to this team. I want to see more Landau. I mean, that guy, Ritholtz said, put it down perfectly. He comes in the game, he takes 2 charges, he sets 3 screens that give open 3-point shots. I don't necessarily need, another guy who needs the ball when I have Oren, Zakheim, Zevi, and Zucker in the game. I don't need it.
He played 17 minutes. He got 4 rebounds. Yeah, no, he was great. Just like that hustle that we kind of need, kind of almost like a Natkin we were talking about before.
Natkin, a Landau, an Igby. You need guys who could do other things. A good comparison is the 04 Pistons, right? They're built so nicely. Rip Hamilton and Chauncey could shoot, and Rasheed, right, can shoot, can do everything offensively. Tayshaun is a good fourth 3-and-D guy. So you had Tayshaun Prince and Ben Wallace to do all that. Ben Wallace didn't need to touch it. You had a guy who could do everything else: rebound, defend, set screens, dive on.
Zucker and Ben Wallace have comparable free throw shooting percentages.
Exactly.
Zucker's getting better. Let's give him credit. He missed the lowest two. He was 3 for 5. Yeah.
Disappointed in this. My boy Zuck, I'm gonna buy you a beer, but that 3-point jump shot, even though it was not ill-advised, the reason he got pulled is it looked wacky. That form looked wacky. I love the Godfather Zucker. Father Zucker, he's a man I pay respects to every time I see him, and I love him a ton like a brother. But take a look at it, man. Get in the gym and workshop that a little bit. I promise you, if his form looked smooth, he wouldn't have gotten pulled. It was like optics. It's like, I used to talk to someone who said, Ellie Katz, or I already gave away who it was who said this, but he's like, the reason people get so pissed at or upset at Donnie is that when he turns it over, it is an ugly looking turnover. When Ryan turns it over, Ryan's pretty. Ryan has the floppy hair and the smooth and the blue goyish eyes. Like, he looks beautiful it over. Whereas, and Gabe with his Viking blood, like the beautiful, these guys look pretty. Donnie, it's an ugly looking turnover. It was an ugly looking shot. I wasn't ill-advised. I thought he should have taken it. I thought it was the right play. I don't think Elliott should have gotten so mad. I think Elliott was in the wrong for pulling him. Look, it went in and out. We have guys shooting 25% from 3 that have the green light. I think if he's wide open, he has to be able to take it. If he's not allowed to take that shot, then we're completely defeatable. The fact that he could even attempt it at least puts an idea in the defense that, like, okay, if he's going to shoot it, we can't, eventually he's going to make it.
He has a couple this year. Yeah.
I think the pulling was a little bit more of like, he's the captain. I could yell at him to maybe get other guys who aren't hustling to listen up for the future. Right. I can't imagine he was that upset over one shot. We were down by 10 with 2 minutes left. I don't think it was just the shot. Left. It wasn't just the shot. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was just more to, send them out. I think, Matan, what we know of him, he's going to take it well. And I think it's just, they need accountability on this team. And, we probably weren't going to win. Like, we were already down 10 at that point with 2.5 minutes left. It probably wasn't going to win, but it did show a message that, like, you gotta, do what you're supposed to be doing. And if that's what he wasn't supposed to be doing, then, you're not going to be able to play. And I think it made sense. Maybe you could have said the same thing about Zakheim, maybe, because it was, playing too much ISO or stuff like that. But I think it just sends a message, and hopefully, the team will get that and they'll start, building things there. It's a young team. They're going to make mistakes. As they go along, as the season goes along, they'll get better and better. And hopefully come Skyline playoff time, they'll have it all together.
I don't know how much Zakheim was practicing when he was hurt. There's obviously a time where he wasn't practicing at all, and then probably practicing some before he came back in. Putting a new guy in your starting lineup is a total reset on the season. So this pseudo break, a couple games that are not division games probably are coming really at the right time for us.
It's a good point. Yeah, they have time to work on things. They're playing some good teams. Wesleyan, they're not having the best year, but they're solid.
They're going to be good. Yeah,
they're going to be a next guy team. Then they're playing Tufts, which is I think they're receiving. They're a very good team, very big. A lot of Jews on the team, actually, interestingly. So they're going to things to work on. Mary Washington, who's ranked now, they're going to be playing them in January. So a lot of things they're going to have to work on, and they're going to be playing against good Division III competition, which is what you want. They're not playing, Medgar Evers or Brooklyn. They're playing really good competition, which will help them once they come back to the Skyline play. They'll have worked on those things and they'll get better. And as the season, we're pretty much at the halfway point almost at this point. I think we're halfway at this point. Yeah. As a second half, in the second half of the Skyline play, which is, where everything's important, they're going to be, running smoothly.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Any of the other notes? Shua, do you want to? Shua's on the phone, huh?
Yeah.
But I am. I couldn't agree more. Hard to get a new guy in a starting 5. Max, we got a couple. What's our next game?
Wednesday night against the Mighty Max versus the YU Max. Should be a fun game. Not the best team we're playing, but it's a solid Division III team. We'll see something new. They'll work on what we need to work on, and it should be an exciting game at home.
I think it'll be a good bounce back game. I know that Golan's not selling cholents, so we don't have to worry about the Shabbos effect. Look, I look back for a good bounce back game, and I think the break will be good to acclimate everyone in. If I've made my points, I'll hammer them home again. Just to recap, I'd like to see more Igby. I'd like to see a little Natkin, and I definitely think that Oren is super valuable to the success of this team. Probably the third look, if you're going to say Zebi's your most valuable, Zucker's up there, and Zackheimer up there, I think Oren belongs in the conversation with all of them in terms of keys to being important for this team to be successful. He's Eitan Halper as good. I mean, he's the same exact player. He didn't lose.
He's a top in D3 shooting. Like you can't get much better than Mitesh. Shooting.
So he's got to either set more screens. I don't know what we got to do, but definitely need to acclimate Zachheim into the offense. And looking forward to what we got, baby. Go Max.
Yep. Yeah. No. So it's an exciting game next week, and we'll keep putting on content, and we'll see you guys then.
See you. Stay tuned. Harold Katz Pod, Blah Blah Team Pod, and Jewish Icons Podcast.
Coming soon. Ooh, teaser there. Okay, nice.
Jewish Icon.
We have some exciting guests, so stay tuned. During the break, we got some exciting stuff, and subscribe, as Meyer on the ones and twos love to tell us. You got to like and subscribe. It helps us, and we'll see you guys